Good evening. I'm not hearing good evening. Yeah, I know you are asking yourselves why ID does not coming in time, but there are a few things we need to agree. First, we have two issues: matters devolution and the Finland issue. So you've seen our level of preparedness. We came here just to go around and see how prepared are we towards hosting such a big delegation in our county. And together as leaders, we have governor, this is me, we have the deputy governor, we have the leader of majority, together with the other MCS, we have our national leaders, our two members of parliament. Some were here in the morning, but because of other engagements and the report that we were waiting that came a little bit late, they left. We also have our senator here, and that means the leadership is here. Why we took time is because we wanted to see how best we can, relate to you our issues. On matters devolution, you have seen what we have done. Yesterday we were with COG and the members of the Senate, and we discussed. We went round to the sites, all the way to Arboretum, up to the stadium, this place, and Hill School, where they will be doing some parking of the vehicles. And they agreed. In fact, the chair, who is also the chair of devolution and the vice chair, COG, gave us 9 out of 10. And that means we are doing something. And even having this beautiful ground here of sports club, it is really plus, especially in our county, to have such a facility. It is not easy. You will not get it anywhere, something good like this. And Chairman, we are so grateful that you agreed to host us. So we are ready to move on. We will be meeting again and again until the very day. On infrastructure, you are seeing what is happening now all over. There are roads being done, lighting, it is going on, and we have agreed that those honorable members who come from within the municipality or the town, they will be meeting their group to see how best we can light up their areas, especially those people whose constituencies, whose wards are touching town. So that when you are ready. So the next thing we want to discuss now, which I think you are all now interested, is the issue of Finland, Canada, which has become an elephant in the room. But thank God, when I invited Senator to also answer his part of the story and what we had found out, he willingly came. We met with the leaders who were there together with our county assembly. We have the chair here of the committee, and we discussed a number of things, and a few other things have come out. So
as a third party, when the principal is here, let us not meander around. First, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this media brief. I think it is extremely important that we get the facts right. One, the question that I've been asked by my friend, just the name is escaping, Kiptanui, on how did the trust end up paying fees for students, other students who are already there. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you have also been writing about this story, and I think you need to go back to what you also wrote. When we had the agitation of parents and some students who had not cleared their fees, and there was a threat of the program being terminated and those children being returned, and the invoice was already with the trust, and we all know, and I'm sure you guys have traveled and you understand how some of these countries and institutions operate. They operate on strict timelines. There was need to make sure that this program continues, and because of that, the parents were engaged. And in fact, I would like to say this. I think one of the things we are witnessing, and probably I will need to do some research and write a book, is how people can be so deceitful and untruthful even to the commitments they make as their children have been supported so that others could continue. This is the situation the trust was being faced with. One, either allow the children that are in Finland for their studies to be terminated and they come back, and consequently the rest of the children will not go. So at that time, what was the best decision the trust then had to make? Is engage the parents whose children are already in Finland and Canada, and they make a commitment they are going to pay, and the funds are cleared, because the immigration process is not an isolated process. It is looking at the whole entirety of the process for the whole program. So that is the situation that the trust found itself in, and that is why that decision had to be made. Number two, so the parents, there is no way, Kiptanui, and you know, maybe one or two parents can influence, but if you are talking of a figure of over 300 parents, you must get a serious kamugunji for them to really influence you. So the decision was actually based on making sure that it's continuity of the program for the sake of the children, who we also still wanted them to benefit from the same opportunity. On the issues of the figures, I thought you would be asking us, the story is, why have the figures risen? The figures that were on the table then, either said by the governor or myself and others that have been said, were not based on the accurate records that have now been fully submitted by the trust officials. And you remember, the trust officials had already been sent home, and there was need now to really find out, and we said as a leadership, that even as we wait for EACC and DCI to continue with the process, we have a situation here. These are our parents, these are our students, these are our employers. We cannot sit and wait, because sitting and waiting means this program is going to collapse and we are not going to have the program in the future. So we made a decision that let's get all the facts, let's get all the documentation, let us do all the verification. And that is why we can now place the amount of money parents owe. We can accurately place the amount of money the universities owe. We can now place the 22 million that was used for other costs. And we are not saying that the officers have not accounted. They have shown how they have spent the money. But we have said, since this money was spent by serving officers and already a process is on, yes, we have the figures, we have what they have said and accounted, but why don't we allow an independent institutions to give us the veracity of these documents and the figures, and see whether all these that have now been said are accurate. But our focus as a leadership now is, let's get the parents whose children were paid for to prevent their return the money. And it will surprise you, gentlemen. And when we have the engagement with the parents, as DJ has said, finally when the names come out, you will be shocked that those who have been making the loudest noise are actually beneficiaries of the process, and they are preparing now to go for a graduation, while knowing very well that there are other parents' children who are still at home. We don't want a situation where one parent is celebrating, another one is crying. We are asking them, refund the money, pay the fees, so that parents who want refund, we can refund. Parents who still want to continue the program can continue, and most importantly, allow the program to continue. And ladies and gentlemen, you must look at this from the global perspective and what the national government is doing. Look at what the national government is doing. They are engaged in bilateral discussions of labor migration and opportunities outside this country. Just the other day, the president of Iran was in this country, asking for about 10,000 workers from this nation. This is a program that can easily be upscaled for the benefit of the people of this county and this country. And that is why we are saying, parents, please don't kill a program simply because your child has succeeded and you don't want somebody else's child to succeed. We are asking them, that's the way you committed, please honor your part of the bargain. it was done so that your child can study and the program can be sustained for the sake of the other children. So I don't know, Tanu, whether you are satisfied. And my friend, very good. I think, Ndanye, since we don't want to place the cart before the horse, and you will appreciate, gentlemen, we have decided to have a leadership. If we were to be as malicious as some of those parents are doing, we would have even tabled the names here just to embarrass them. But of what benefit will that serve us and this process? So what I would urge you, allow us some little time, it's just a week. In the course of next week after engagement, and we have agreed as leadership. After that engagement, we are also going to make the report public. How many parents have committed to pay? How many are paying within what period of time? Those who will then decide not to pay, of course, you know, in this country, there is only one way to solve problems. When you disagree, you move to court and institute legal measures to do the recovery. Meantime, as a leadership, we shall look at what else to do to make sure that the program is sustainable.
As a leadership in the same spirit, there's also another matter in this country that has also brought to the attention of the entire country, which you're also involved in just before the Senate. It's about fast trains. Are you also as leaders thinking about it?
First, you need to withdraw your statement that I'm involved. Do you have evidence that I'm involved? I was not indicted. I think you should just, I was asked to present, because if you say I was involved, you must provide evidence. Again, you know, it is a choice of how we want to solve issues. First Choice is a private company, and it had no agreement. Unlike this program, as a county, we never had any understanding with First Choice. Just like any other company can have an event in this county, and they can ask you as a governor or an area MCA or an MP and invite you for a function, you can just attend that function. So if you attend that function, doesn't mean that you are involved. If today I attend your wedding and God forbid you go and divorce with your wife, will I be responsible because I was just present in that wedding? So gentlemen, that is the situation. And First Choice and the petitioners appeared before the Senate. I was there myself. And I think by now you should be used to the fact that one Senator Jackson Mandago does not fail to honor any sermon, because I operate from a very clear conscience. Today, even as I sit here as a senator of this county, I can recall without going to any documents probably 80-85% of what we did in the county. So I have no problem. I sometimes will ask Governor when they are called for Public Accounts Committee, I wish there was a situation where I can tell Governor B to take a break so that I can respond to the matters that were in my administration. Unfortunately, the law is very clear that once your term ends, you move, and whoever comes to the office, like Koti Moja, inherits both the assets and liabilities. So he will inherit the problems that we experience. He will also inherit the successes. Just the way, when we also came in 2013, we also inherited the problems that were there in the municipalities, and we worked very hard to try and solve and even answer to audit queries where we were not participants, because government is in perpetuity. And I think that is just how the framers of the Constitution and the law put it. So for First Choice, let me so that we clarify that point. They appeared before the Senate, and my only involvement was being present because a cabinet secretary was also attending the function. We went through the statements and the presentations, and finally it was agreed in the Senate as part of the resolution of that sitting that First Choice first provides all the documents of the students that were involved and prepare the balances of how much every of the people were owing, and provide a plan of how they are going to refund. And they made a commitment to the Senate and those petitioners and the students to know. But for us, as that time county government was in issue, we are not involved. That is a private entity, and really, we are not a regulator, so we cannot even say we are supposed to do that. But we are happy that National Employment Authority has taken up on matters of the agents, just to look at what they do and make sure if there are gaps that needs to be streamlined in terms of regulation and even legislation, particularly now that the national government is upscaling and signing new bilateral agreements. It is extremely going to be very important that those things are streamlined so that we also, as a nation, don't find ourselves in the situations we have found ourselves in before. Thank you very much. I think first on that unfortunate incident of death that we lost a student, we still want to really condole with that family and say it was a very unfortunate incident. However, we don't want to discuss the circumstances that led to the death because the information we have might not be what the general public is perceiving. And it is because, again, this is not our own information. A team that traveled from Finland accompanying the body of that student, actually in a public forum offering condolences, said, we have information we would like to give the family in confidence. Unless the family tell us what that information they were given in confidence about that, we may not be able to speculate. But suffice to say, as much as people say these children are suffering, and Ndanye, I know you are a digital person. I see you posting a lot on Twitter, and the Star is digital, and all of you, and all of us gentlemen. I want you to develop very keen interest. And probably we might need to supply you with a list of students, their names, so that you can go on Facebook. Just a month ago, one of the students who was being a lot of noise had a very elaborate birthday party in Stockholm. In fact, it's called Happy Birthday the King. One of the child who has been making a lot of noise, and I know the parents, unfortunately, and we know where they started. He's saying, my biggest problem now is that I never imagined I will always be driving to work. Now his biggest problem is he owns now a car. Sasa shida si how to go, shida sasa ni kuendesha. You need to develop interest how students who you say are suffering are having birthday parties in cruise ship. I have served as a governor for 10 years. I have traveled. I have not even had a chance to be in the cruise ship. I'm only praying that one day I'm also rewarded to go on a cruise ship. So, we cannot, and because we don't have probably a liaison office there, but we work with the universities, we work with the agents who are there. We also have people from this county who are in Finland much earlier. The people have lived there for 25 years, 20 years, and we engage a number of them to tell them, please, because we don't have a mechanism of making sure that someone takes care of these children, be available should there be any problem. And so, really, we cannot say here that the children are suffering or they are not suffering. I know there is a planned fact-finding mission by the county government to go to Finland. I would want to encourage that please ask your employers if they can allow one or two of you to accompany this team so that you also help us with the information. We know also that some of those students have actually sent money back home. There are parents who are living in a smaller house. They are now living in a big, decent house. There are parents who didn't own a motorbike. They now own a motorbike. There are parents who never owned a car. I know one who is now driving a Premio, courtesy of his student who is in Finland. There is one parent I'm proud of from one of the wards here in Moiben, who, when people said, oh, you know, these children are suffering, they are not what, on his own volition actually decided and said, why are people saying children are suffering? Am I the only one who is doing well? Because my daughter has bought for me a tractor and a boom sprayer. So instead of even explaining, he decided on a Sunday morning that I will drive with my tractor the child to give evidence and testimony. So we cannot rule out unless we receive complaint. Again, when these students left, we properly briefed them of culture shock and other things. And we also advised, if you have challenges, get in touch with the secretariat running the program. So as far as, and I've asked the deputy governor and the governor whether there are students who have complained formally that they are suffering and so forth, they are not. The loudest students are the one who are having parties across Europe. The other one was in Italy the other day. Because we are in social media, I will also share with you so that you can also check, so that you know these lies and the things that are being peddled are unfortunate. ladies and gentlemen, it is unfortunate that our success can be our undoing. We would have hoped to do better and make sure that we have scaled this program. It is extremely embarrassing that we are going through this as a county when other counties came, learned from us, and now running with the program. Today the program is in Nandi County. Today the program is in Murang'a County. Today the program is in Baringo County. We ourselves are shutting the door for ourselves as a county. I want to urge those parents whose students were paid fees for to sustain the program to also feel for the parents whose children still need to go for the program, and we're asking them to do it within the very shortest time so that we can refund the parents who need a refund. We can process the students who still need want to go and study. We are very grateful to the immigration agencies from Canada and Finland for the support they have given us in this program. In spite of these challenges, after I left, the governor and the deputy governor team have continuously engaged the embassies with a view of making sure that the program continues. And we are going, and we have said as a leadership, we are going to do our best to make sure that this program doesn't collapse, because those are not the only students who need this program in this county. It should also not be lost, ladies and gentlemen, that because of the success of this program, but because parents were paying, before we left office in 2022, with the members of county assembly were here. Mheshimiwa Amos is here, Mheshimiwa Moja is here, those who are in the second term. We have made provision now in our county education revolving fund so that foreign study can also be part of what is being funded by the county. Again, this was informed by the fact that not all parents would afford to pay 1.2 million. Most of those children who went, we did a lot of fundraisings for most of those parents. Others sold land, others we fundraised, others borrowed from that. But we now want a situation where even if a child or a parent has no capacity to even borrow or has no land to sell, county government through the county education revolving fund, when resources are available and forwarded to those funds, they can then also be able to access the same opportunities. Otherwise, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You know me, I can explain the whole day, the whole night. Allow first Ocheng, because you know DJ has been at the center of this. Can you allow him to add something? I'm here. Don't relax. Yes.
I just wanted to add what Senator said in terms of this program is a very expensive program. For a degree course in Finland, for example, it will cost, fees alone will cost 3.5 million Kenya shillings, because per year you are paying 8,200 euros. So what the parents were informed at the beginning, when they paid the 1.2 million, they were only paying fees for one semester. And what we are calling the pathway. You need to learn the Finnish language before you go to Finland, because even the visa is processed. So it is a very expensive program, but the rewards are enormous. When we travel to Finland, with my task force, what are we going to look for? One, we want to look, because the comments we are getting from the students is that it's a lot easier to get employment when you are around Helsinki. So we'll be looking at more programs around the universities closer to Helsinki. Two, we'll be looking at other programs below degree level, where within, like the one for welding, where within 1 year they can be able to have completed, because to do a degree is quite expensive. And two, we will need in future to be aligning the capabilities of the parents to support their students and the program. Because if for some reason or the other a student is not able to get employment, then they need to be able to be supported by the parents.
Okay, just maybe Cheng, please finish, and then I'll have to say maneno.
Yeah.
Yes.
How much?
Thank you very much, Ocheng. You know, I started by saying government operates in perpetuity, and the program did not switch on when I began and switched off when I left office, then switched on when the new administration came, and I don't know the expectation of who will switch it off. This is the position. This is a program that has been ongoing even after I left office. Okay? The figures we were quoting was at a particular date. But that doesn't mean the program had already stopped. You've heard the DG saying, even after verification, we have now realized there is 960 students still locked up in a student account. So, the funds that were there were continually being used to support the program. You have had over 200 million was already being paid to universities. It is this from the same account. So I think that is the position. But allow me to summarize in Kiswahili, because I think there are people who are saying labda kuna wazazi
ambao walichukua pesa wakalipiwa na hawajarejesha.
Wacha tu niseme sasa kwa kifupi kwa Kiswahili. Ingawa labda sitakuwa na ufasaha wa lugha, lakini nitajaribu. Kwanza kabisa sisi kama viongozi tumeweza kukutana ili kutoa suluhu na mwelekeo na mpango kamili ya kuhakikisha hii program ambayo tulianzisha, ambayo inanufaa vijana katika kaunti hii, kwanza inaweza kuendelea, na ya pili kutatua matatizo ya wale wanafunzi ambao wamelipa karo na wangali wako nyumbani na wazazi wanaitisha kwa nini watoto wetu hawajaenda kusoma. Ya pili ni kueleza hivi, katika ile fedha ambazo tumepekua kama viongozi kupitia kwa wale maafisa ambao wanafanya kazi, zile pesa ambazo zimetumika ya wazazi wengine kusupport wale wanafunzi tayari walikuwa Finland ni kadri ya milioni 96. Na ndipo tunasema wale watoto tayari walikuwa shaenda ng'ambo. Kulikuwa na changamoto ya program hii kusimamishwa kwa sababu ya hawa kutolipa karo kwa wakati ambao ulikuwa nafaa. Na kwa sababu wazazi hao waliweza kupata nafasi na wale walikuwa nasimamia program hii kujadiliana jinsi hiyo program itakishwa inaendelea, ili wale watoto tayari bado wako katika nchi hii na kaunti ya Kenya waweze pia kupata hiyo nafasi. Pesa ambazo zilikuwa kwa trust, na trust ilikuwa ina operate account moja, waliweza kulipa hiyo karo ili hao watoto wasirudishwe nyumbani, kwa sababu wale wangerudishwa nyumbani na maanisha wale walikuwa nyumbani hawangepata nafasi tena ya kwenda kusafiri. Kwa hivyo ilikuwa nafasi ya kuchagua kama tunataka kuendelesha program ama hii program iweze kusimama kwa sababu ya changamoto ambazo zimekuwa. Na kwa sababu uongozi huko kupeana suluhu kwa matatizo ambazo zinakuja, ndio maana kulikuwa na uamuzi wa kuhakikisha hiyo program ambayo inaendelea. Ile tunataka kuomba wazazi, na ni jambo la kustusha na labda kwa kukasirisha, kuona mzazi ambao alifaidi na yeye mwenyewe alienda kwenye ofisi ya serikali na akasema atalipa karo, mtoto wake amelipiwa, tayari mtoto wake yako karibu kufuzu, na yeye anakataa kuregesha ile pesa ili huyu mwanafunzi mwingine aweze kupata nafasi. Tunataka kuomba wazazi kwa heshima, tafadhali, wakati wewe unafanya mpango ya kwenda kusherekea kufaulu kwa mtoto wako, kumbuka ule mtoto na mzazi ambao walichangia pakubwa ndio mtoto wako aweze kufaulu. Na ndipo tumesema tutakutana na wazazi wale walilipiwa karo ili watoto wao wasome, tutakutana na wazazi wale ambao wamelipa baadhi ya karo na bado kuna karo wanafaa kulipa, na tutakutana na wazazi ambao watoto wao hawajalipiwa na hawajawekwa katika shule yote kule katika universities ambazo tulikuwa tumeshirikiana. Kwa hivyo tuko na hiyo mpango, na sisi tunasema kama viongozi, kando na mipango ambayo tunaendelesha, tumesema uchunguzi na upekuzi wa DCI na ule wa EACC itaendelea bila kuingiliwa, ili mwisho wale watu kama sisi na wengine ambao wameharibiwa machina waja ukweli udhirike, ili watu waelewe program ilikuwa inaenda namna gani na ni kwa sababu gani uamuzi fulani ilifanyika. Kwa hayo majaje, ladies and gentlemen, asanteni sana.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
That is politics aside. Politics aside.